Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this first edition of Prime on My Media Prime TV for this week. An edition that is going to be looking at what it takes to win a presidential election in Cameroon. What should candidates be doing as we look forward to having another presidential elections when it is October of this year, 2025. We are going to be discussing on this topic with two panelists. Unfortunately, one has just had an emergency, so he left us, and we are in the company of Dr. Michael Ndimachu. He is a lecturer with some universities in Cameroon and a core member of Cameroon Civil Society. Good evening. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. It's a pleasure to be here, and the clock is ticking, and we are watching, and all of us, eyes are turned towards Yaoundé Itudi. Our eyes are turned towards the Lekam. Our eyes are turned towards the 2025 elections, and a lot of questions, unanswered questions, of course, blowing in the air, and we're asking ourselves, who are we going to vote for? You know, in the 1990s, with that hunger for change, whereby there was this mantra that was developed about Pobia must go, and the SDF came up with a mantra, and everybody was like, okay, this is a time for change. 1990, 1992 up to 2025, that needed change has not come, and there seems to be no headway to that change. And we were asking ourselves, our political parties, what is wrong with you? The mistakes that some did in the 1990s by not going for parliamentary elections, others did in 2018, and it's affecting, and nobody is learning from the signs of the time. We are remaining determined in the civil society to say that we'll broker the deal, and that the hard way may be the only way for Cameroon, and that to get power or to ascend power, there needs to be no romance sometimes, especially when we deal with autocratic government. You need to live up to expectations and to live up to your ideologies. But unfortunately, most political parties have no ideologies. They only have liberation theologies. And we think that 2025 is the year of the Lord, and that things should change.
It's the year of the Lord. We also are in the company of Tah Mai Javis. Good evening. We're glad to have you, Javis.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening to Dr. Ndimachu. Also, good evening to all those who are watching us. It is a kind of exciting period that we are already getting into, the 2025 presidential election. It is coming at a moment where many Cameroonians, out of 10, 9 will tell you we badly need change. It is coming at a moment where the church, the mosque, are actively getting involved in the political gymnastic. Rarely have we heard or seen within the past 8 and 14 years or 16 years ago. So we are getting towards a very exciting year, and many Cameroonians will actually register effectively and cast their ballot. And also the political parties will also have to restructure and re-strategize. A special good evening to the Bishop of Boya, His Lordship Michael Bibi, and happy birthday celebration to all those who are celebrating this February, and those of us who are born in February.
Paul was supposed to be part of tonight's edition of the program. He was here with us. He just left for an emergency. However, we're going to be discussing with the two panelists who are with me in the studio. Dr. Michael Ndimachu, we're looking at the preparedness of our candidates as at last year. Let's look at the ending of last year and this year. Do you have a clear picture of those who are going to run for the presidency?
Well, talking about clear picture, I may only say that I have heard some express desire to go for presidential election. It appears as if in Cameroon, contesting for presidential election is much more a game of words than a game of action, or than action per se, because we hear more than what they do, and you know, even biblically they say action speaks louder than words. But in Cameroon, the people think that words speak louder than action, because what we understand is that you've gotten a few chunk of political leaders who actually utter some words, and they utter words only in imitation of the ruling party's chairman or president, Paul Biya's end-of-year speeches, and other parties went on social media to talk about what they want to do or express their desire to go for presidential election. I don't think that these are things that we should quote, because one of the things that we see a real party to be is that a party should not only be a party of elections, being between two elections, it should be a party of the people, a party of the grassroots. Meaning that what? That out of the elections, we are supposed to fuel the parties. Even though not active campaigns, we are supposed to have what we call the passive campaigns, whereby we find political parties getting into the grassroots, getting into villages, getting into towns, and actually making their own impact felt, by the people, by the dwellers of these areas. And talk less of some of the civil society organizations, including the Njangi houses, including meeting houses, including churches, and including all gatherings that are supposed, of course, to know exactly what the agenda of political parties are. And if we look at from last year and up to today, let's talk about December last year, or even January last year up to now February, getting to 13 months, I think that very few, of them have been able to create an on-the-ground impact. I know of, for example, the SDF chairman, Joshua Osi, who went around the country. Even though there was some resistance in the East region, for those who think that they are die-hard supporters of the ruling party. But out of that, you actually just find most of these leaders only on TV platform, which of course is good. But out of the TV platform, we are supposed to fuel the people. Because how do you know a leader? You know a leader who sympathizes with the people, with the sufferings of the masses. For example, we talk about price hikes, and we hear leaders who actually come out to talk. We hear about the skyrocketing prices of fuel, the living conditions, like the finance law of last year, the tax law and all of those, and nobody seems to care. You hear about natural disasters, and nobody actually seems to care about what is happening. I know a few of them. Actually go to some of these national, we had the soil creep in Mimboman, we had what happened on Enchang Hill, and some would take cameras and go film and say what they are saying. But we actually need to see the families who are actually destituted, who are comforted by these people, because this one leaves a mark. What leaves a mark is not how you come and stand there and say, well, we condemn the government for not taking or preemptive measures about what has happened. We see a committed leader from the way the leader is convivial with those who are undergoing untold suffering from especially natural disaster and from the suffering that we have, poverty and all of those. A leader who is able to align with the people, with the suffering of the people, and be able to feel what the people feel. I think that this is how we see a committed leader. A committed leader is not just somebody who will sit in his air-conditioned office and develop an address and then speaks to the nation maybe one time a year, and then you think that you have already spoken, you give your ideas and say, when I will be president, I will do this, when I will be president, I will do this. This is not what a committed leader is supposed to be. We know about incarnating the goals and the ideas of a political party, meaning that what you suppose to actually give an example of what you are supposed to do. I usually want to compare political leaders with the bird, the pelican. That bird that wounds itself in order to feed its young. This is the sacrifice that political leaders are supposed to do, not those who are at the mercy of the ruling party. We have had political parties whereby they have internal wranglings and then they are calling on the ruling party or the president of the republic to solve their problems. These are not parties that are supposed to be considered. We would not imagine that we have up to more than 370 political parties in Cameroon, and the electorate, people are doubting who they are going to vote for. This is not a good sign at all for Cameroon. This is actually not a good sign. And we think that the 8 months or 7 months that are remaining, Well, I do not know what magic people can do, because at this point in time, I said here that on this platform the last time that I do not yet have a leader that I'm going to vote. And someone was asking, how do you think that you do not have a leader up to now? Because I'm not yet be convinced. Because a leader is not just about hearing you speak. It was in the olden days whereby we even had people who give ideologies, and we think that during the nationalism period. It is not more now. Now it's meet the people with their individual problems, with their individual sufferings, with their individual day-to-day lives, and live with them. Okay. And that if we do not see these things being done, then we already begin to doubt that there is somebody who is ready to go to the from October 2025.
Clearly, as written by the topic for tonight, Tah Mai Javis, who have you seen as the most prepared candidate for these elections? Because I would like to say that in the United States, we could see Trump 4 years down the road working towards that. In Nigeria, we could see Obi and the rest. We are months to elections. What are those strategies that tells that, okay, these guys are really ready for the job?
I think there's something we call cultural entropy. Cultural entropy is doing one and the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And most of our politicians, like in some instance, if you are in their level of operation, you will see that they are doing a lot. But if you are from a voter's perspective, and is someone who barely need change, you understand that they are not doing very much. So oftentimes when we give objective analysis, they would say that we are rubbishing their efforts or we are undermining their efforts. I will want to say this and say it clearly based on your question. If we look at the front runner of what we had in 2018. In 2018, the results were very simple. In 2018, we had President Paul Biya with 2,522,934 votes. And in 2018, that same time, we had the second that followed was Professor Kamto with over 503,384 votes. Now Cabral became with 222,995 votes, and of course Joshua Namange Osi came with 118,706 votes. Now, when we look at this strategy, we also look at what are their options now. Things have changed. New media has come, and strategy needs to change. If you look at the candidates, I will tell you with all certainty that very few of these candidates are actually ready for 2025 election. From the way at which they are going, you could tell that they are preparing for 2028 or 2029 election. Because to be very honest, Cameroon has 10 regions. Of these 10 regions, you look at the number of subdivisions that we have. You look at the number of subdivisions that we have. You look at the total number of major towns that we have. It would take more than 6 to 7 months for a candidate to actually shuttle within these towns. And you remember the period for campaigns that will be effectively given will be 2 weeks, and it will be practically impossible for a candidate to crisscross Cameroon for 2 weeks. And those 2 weeks, I'm talking about the days that they will actually get to rest. Now, in terms of those who are prepared, I will tell you that if you look at the preparedness, the CPDM somehow are well prepared. Why are they well prepared? Because they have their mechanism, and that's the same way that the opposition want to go, which the opposition cannot beat them in that they are fair, because the ruling party has what we call the different delegates, and the different delegate happens to be elites and top personalities who are constantly on the field trying to get vote for their chairman, and seeing that their chairman is highly represented omnipresently through them in their different constituency. And that's why you hear prominent elites who tell you that if you not vote for Papa, maybe I not go be able for be nominated next year. When I see what Papa don't do and for our place no years, so make una vote Papa. Now the question is, what do the opposition parties have to offer? Power is not given a la kind. Power is taken and is seized. And for it to be seized, you must negotiate. Power is bargained. For example, our opposition parties ought to have done a lot of movement. I'm happy I just read now from social media from senior barrister Keremuna. he was at Omniobe's residence, where he actually paid homage and actually spoke with some people there I saw. And those are the kind of movement that you expect politicians in this kind of time that people need change to actually do. You will see, since 2018 and 2024, how often have the front runner who have announced for the declared ones this 2025, how often have they actually grant an interview, in-depth interview, within this past 7 years? How often have they made themselves available? And that's why you see Nijon was all-time prepared, because Nijon Fungi of blessed memory was that leader where journalists have had his direct line, and you call the chairman and anytime he will answer you. But when you look at the kind of leaders that we have now who are going for election, you will need to pass through a PA to another PA, another person to negotiate, another person to negotiate. Then you ask yourself, what is this? What's the difference between these persons and the one that they want to remove, that the press rarely get to interview him on a regular basis, if at all on a biannual basis? Now, the second parameter that you actually judge if they are ready. If they are ready, you ask yourself, how often did they move through the country within the past 6 years to 7 years? Because if you look at, let me give you practical cases in Nigeria. Peter Gregory Obi, before being picked as a Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi constantly was moving in Nigeria. And our politician will tell you that, you know, elections have not been launched. You know, if you want to do a rally, the government will hold you responsible, the government will cancel a rally. But it's not true. Because what Peter Obi was doing in Nigeria, and what Trump was doing in America, and what William Ruto was doing in Kenya, and what John Mahama in Nigeria, in Ghana was doing, is simple. They visited churches. You want to tell me that, Mr. Kum, that if a candidate, let's say Professor Maurice Kamto, today decide to worship in Bonamusadi Church, where Dr. Ndimachu fellowship, at the Catholic Church in Bonamusadi, would they refuse Professor Maurice Kamto from coming to worship in Bonamusadi? Would the minister, as they always claim that the government will send military, would they send military to stop him from entering that church? The answer is 2-letter word, N-O, no. Now, in the church, he makes himself present with his entourage. The priest and every other person that will see that, hey, this person is around, and towards the ending of the mass, or when the mass comes to an end, he will have the time now to quickly just briefly talk with people. And that is what we call meet the people. The second scenario is that maybe they can also decide to do special offertory procession to make themselves forcibly known in the church. It's simple. You do special offertory procession. That was what Peter Gregory Obi, all Nigerian opposition leaders did. Even the one that went for that came second.
Was it not Tinubu organized?
Tinubu organized with bishops, bishops, and they came. He went to churches. Tinubu went to churches. He actually went to churches to worship. Peter Obi went to mosques. On Fridays, he will go to mosques. On this day, just a visit. These visits are very important, because this visit make the people to see you in person. Look at the total number of churches we have in Cameroon. A serious candidate, very, very serious candidate from a new generation of politics, because our own are looking at it from an old generation of politics. From this new generation of politics, we would have had to go around all, whether Pentecostal, Catholic churches, whoever, just their presence gives the people understand that you are there, and they will ask you questions. Some people will ask, hey, welcome, Papa, how? This and that. You get to network, so that the time you are calling for a rally, they are not coming for their first time. They are coming because they have already met you. And the next aspect is, they will not stop. They did not stop Peter Obi from moving to the market. As a candidate, it's your right to move to the market and go and buy, to show. But our opposition will tell you that no, the time has not come. Like yesterday when I had the program, one opposition surrogate told me that no, the time has not come for their chairman to come out to start talking. The regime is a strategy and that and that. And I asked myself, we're in February, we are counting March, April, May, June, July, August. When do you have to shuttle round? The next aspect is, we have been so cold to believe that opposition party cannot actually move to major city neighborhood for a greeting. Sometimes you take a stroll, sometimes you come to Douala, take a stroll and just be walking and greet. The idea is to meet with the people. And look at what Trump did. Trump was on a back-to-back rally. Yes, in Cameroon we may not have that rally. And secondly, Trump negotiated with key figures. Look at Trump formed a coalition. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democratic front runner in 2020 presidential election. She was a primary candidate with Kamala Harris, and she was defeated in her primaries. She's a top Democrat. R.F. Kennedy, John Franklin Kennedy, is a top Democrat who was also campaigning to become president for this election. You look at other somebody like Elon Musk before now was also a Democrat. Now, if Donald Trump himself could align himself with these people who were constantly doing the movement, he had people that were doing his movement for. Dr. Ben Carson was in this other state, this other person was in this other state, meet the people. I think our opposition party needs to go beyond, and they don't make themselves available for the press. For example, assuming that you were anchoring this one of these party leaders, the people who get to ask questions that Mr. Kum, please ask me this man this, ask me this man this, because when they come with a regular end of year speeches, what they do is a monologue. It's not a dialogue, and it's only once in a while they tell us what they will do, what they will do, what they will do, what they will do, but they don't tell us how they will do it, how they intend to do it. This is what candidates do. This is what Donald Trump did, and Peter Obi, and the man in Kenya did. The man in Kenya will tell you that I have met with so and so factory, I have met with so and so people. If I'm elected, this is what they have assured me. This is what I've met with. This is what I've met with. I spoke with this production company. I spoke with the African Development Bank to find out solutions for Cameroon. This is what they told me. This is what. But we have not had this.
Dr. Michael Ndimachu, can Cameroonians today tell you that, okay, I have 3 or 4 candidates and I know clearly what they want to deliver?
This is, I mean, in another way.
Or we are waiting for the last months to tell the people what we have for them.
One fact about Cameroonians, what I'm sure is going on in the minds and hearts of Cameroonians now, Mr. Kum, is that Cameroonians are hungry and thirsty for a leader. But now the question is, which leader? It is like waiting for Godot, waiting for someone whom no one can see. This is what Cameroonians are up to now at this point in time. Because after galvanizing them and swearing the electoral registration, having Cameroonians register this year even much more than democracy started in Cameroon. We have never had this kind of registration. We are 8 million plus now. And Cameroonians are actually with that zeal and zest and anxiety to go to the polls and vote. Now the next question now is, who are they going to vote for? And that is the question that is in their minds now. And the question that is blowing in the air. Because nobody has actually shown himself as really, a leader that somebody can sit and say, and touch and say, this is actually the person that I have decided to vote for. This is a very, very big problem in Cameroon. It is a problem. Why? Because Cameroonians in one way are also very skeptical. And in Cameroon, not all opposition parties are to take power. Not all opposition parties in Cameroon want to take power. This is a fact, one of the facts that we have come to understand in Cameroon. That some political parties are just there for their own selfish motives and selfish reasons. So Cameroonians, they need to be very, very careful. So that tomorrow you don't vote. And after the elections, some people will come together and say they are the G20 or they are the G30 or they are the G50 who are giving their vote to the incumbent president. This is what is happening. And you have already seen what is happening. There are already 4 political parties who have gone to the Minister of Territorial Administration giving their letter of support to the President of the Republic. Those are opposition parties that some poor militants were counting on. And now their wishes, their aspirations have been dashed to the thick wall. And with all of these, and knowing that Cameroon is a country to change, Cameroon is a country that is in dire need of a leader at this particular point in time, and nobody is showing proof of anything. And when you look at even those political parties like Tah Mai mentioned, who were actually, we could say that they excelled, better in the last presidential elections in 2018, they are very, very uncertain. You find the MRC is uncertain because we do not know whether they are going, Professor Maurice Kamto is going for election or is not going. You look at Cabral Libi, who was the 3rd in that list. He's uncertain. We do not know whether, you see, even the person whom is contesting the party has endorsed President Paul Biya. And this is somebody young, they said this is a youth that many youths were counting on. Now, the person whom is contesting the party has really endorsed President Paul Biya. So when you ask me, even the UPC has endorsed President Paul Biya. So you see that this is like they are playing with the consciences of Cameroonians and this is something that we must say no to. So at this point in time, you will now see that if we are looking at the last presidential election, the only opposition that actually came up, the fourth, is the only opposition that perhaps we are thinking that people should look up to, which is the SDF. But then, we will be expecting that from 2018 to 2025, we will have some other opposition parties who will show proof of seriousness, of getting to the people, of winning the hearts and minds of the people, to show proof of the fact that, okay, in 2025, they are also going to match up to the first 4 or the first 5 or even the first 10. But we don't see any. We are afraid that what happened maybe some years back is still going to happen this time around. Now, you know, we as a civil society, I will tell you here that, and I will tell Cameroonians that it is not easy even to get to these political party leaders. It is very difficult. And I'm asking myself, whether you get to that top level of a political party leader to lord it over the other people. I don't know whether you don't want to be on the pedestals and look at other people now, because we as a civil society, we have tried our possible best to meet some opposition party leaders, and it has not been easy. And now we're asking ourselves, these are people who are supposed to come to us, the civil society, because they know that we live in the community and we interact in the community. Our impact is far-reaching in the community. But rather, on the contrary, we are the ones going to the political leaders to ask them to come so that we can chart a way forward. It is as if we are going to use a whip. And I'm asking that now, this now actually testifies to the fact that some political leaders are not out to take power in Cameroon. They are out for their personal aggrandizement. It's for their politics to bounce, and all in all. And that if we look at that, you know, the opposition in itself, they think that Cameroon is not like just any other country. Like in the US, there are people who would follow the ideologies of political parties and then they vote them. But in Cameroon, to unseat the ruling CPDM, these political parties need to do a lot of work. Maybe they think that is a kind of a romance that they are going to do, and then somebody will get up or sympathize with them and give them power. In Cameroon, it's going to be real work. And I'm asking myself whether this work is going to be in 7 months' time between now and October. Or that many of them are thinking that this 2025, okay, it is gone. Let us wait for 2032. If that is the case, then them make it clearer to us. Then there will be no need for us wasting our time and resources and getting people to register to vote. Because the kind of energy that we are put in, the kind of resources that we are put in to get people to register this year, it is enormous. And I think that if at the end of it all, we are disappointed by these people, then we think that there is something else that we need to do when it comes to 2032. So, asking me whether there is really somebody that we think we can touch that is really supposed to be this leader. Well, I would say there will have been somebody if there were no doubts around the person. Like, for example, I still respect the popularity that the MRC has. The CRM, Cameroon Resistance Movement, they have a popularity. But the issue is going by the legality of it all. Is it popularity? And what use is it when at the end of it all, the party leader may not qualify to run for elections? Because it will have been that, okay, after everything, because I must say that people actually are going for the CRM because of its manifesto or because of its radical move. Because we understand that to unseat the ruling party that has been in Cameroon for long, you really need a proactive kind of energy that the CRM was proving to the people, and that is why it gained some kind of popularity. But then this popularity was dashed to the world because the leader who actually knew the law more than us, the mistake that they did in 2020, of course, it is costing us a lot. But we think that all hope is not lost, and we are asking the opposition leaders who are the front leaders, for example, the SDF. We have, well, for now, I think that I'm only touching on the SDF because all the others are disappointing me. Okay. Who am I going to touch again? Okay. You have the Universal Party, you have the Pews, which of course we are not hearing them anyway. We have people are dancing, kind of by a dance. We don't know exactly where they are standing. So they need to be able to show us through, their works in the community, through their proactiveness, through their campaigns in the community, and the leaders need to assure us that they are not going to disappoint us, and maybe we need to take an undertaking.
Okay, good evening. Emmanuel is watching us from Limbe. Good evening to you, Emmanuel. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I love the program. Is Damien watching from Cyprus? Good evening, Prime and panelists. This is Ardo Haruna watching from Bafoussam 1. He says, I count on the SDF. Let's take the case of Sonko. We saw Sonko, sure, for a very long period before he took part, very steady. Even when he knew that he was not going to run for presidency, he gave up that position for Faye. Yes. Is that the impression you see of Cameroon's opposition? That is where you know that you may necessarily not run for elections. Okay, let me also give the opportunity for someone who has the potential or is ripe for or meets the criteria to run. Is that what we see happening in the days ahead?
We will not see that happening even in the nearest future, because if we needed to see that happen, we would not have been having the opposition opposing themselves on social media and fighting and giving each other low spirit. I will not call names, but we saw some very big figures attacking Party A, Party A, C, attacking Party B. Party A says that I will never work with someone who have worked with the government before, and that kind of person cannot be trusted. And you see there was a reaction, a retaliation to the reaction. Now, what happened in Senegal? If you do a comparative analysis, you will see that Sonko and Faye have been working on the ground from day one. They have been hitting the street, and they were consistently hitting the street. Unfortunately, many Cameroonians just got to know Sonko when he was away at that time. Like, hey, Senegal. But Sonko and Faye were people who were walking on the street. They were when laws were being passed that were repugnant to natural way they see it, they will move to the street. They will criticize it. They will be detained. They will do this. But let's look at Cameroon in context. Since they recently introduced finance bill went to the parliament, how many opposition parties actually came together and actually signed a joint memo and went and said, no, we will not want this? How many? Now, movement like that, Sonko actually and Faye did. And when Sonko realized that at one point in time he will not be able to be run for the election, he actually dropped and gave Faye. It was for the good of Senegalese, and because of the of their movement, you have over 9 million additional voters registered. Let us be clear. What gives you the legitimacy of you to secure your vote is the number of voters that actually vote and cast, and the pressure. Those votes mount pressure to the system counting the election to be very careful. Mr. Kum, you see, if the figure had not moved to 9 million, the Senegalese Constitutional Council was almost playing to the whims and caprices of the outgoing president, who was Macky Sall, because at one point in time there was a bit of indication that Sall wanted to extend or change the constitution to seek another third mandate, and that saw a bit of uprising and the rest. But now what happened was Sonko and his team were steady, and they got the population registered, and the pressure was massive. Look at the case of Cameroon. You have parties that know that all indication they will not run as their party. They will not run as their party, but they will tell you that they will still be part of the election. And this is simple. Why don't you throw your weight behind another party such that the two of you can become better and stronger in such a way that when there's an election, there could not be a transitional period where you can actually come back and run for election? They will not. Let us give you another example. Another example of what happened was the case of the Labour Party in Nigeria. The person that had that Labour Party made way for Peter Obi. He made way for Peter Obi because the barrister and doctor saw that at that point in time he did not have the popularity, and he actually made way for Peter Obi, because normally Peter Obi was not supposed to become the front runner of Labour Party. And him making way for Labour Party, that was when Labour Party became the third major opposition party in Nigeria historically. That a party at that level will come and challenge the PDP, and they will become a strong force to reckon with. Why? Because the Abore, the man is Abore of Labour Party, the president of Labour Party or the chairman of Labour Party, who was supposed to be the candidate, saw that Peter Obi had enough popularity, because Peter Obi had first of all go to NNPC of Kwankwaso, and NNPC of Kwankwaso said, a party in the north said he was going to run for the election. So when Peter Obi met Labour Party saw his popularity. It's the same with Cameroon. Let's look at Cameroon. Among all these parties, we had the first MRCs, first major opposition party in the just ended presidential election. We had Cabral Libi, we had Honorable Joshua Nambagi Osi. Now, of these three parties, how many can make way for another? And the worst thing is their primaries. Mr. Leo, we will not have had any problem if this candidate had actually, these parties had done primaries. And that's one of the problems we have in Cameroon, primaries, transparent primaries. Because primaries also add weight to the politicization and the marketing of your party. If you actually do a consistent primaries, probably give way for new candidates to come, they will galvanize your base, and they will come up with their own crowd. But unfortunately, we don't have that. We have people who says, as it was in the beginning for this party, as it is, and so shall it be. And now the question is, do you have what it takes to pull the election? In every message you will read there, you will see that all those who are writing will say coalition, 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 because they know that it is only a coalition that can protect their vote. Cameroon has about 25,000 polling stations. There's a difference between the polling station and polling unit and polling cell. We are talking about 25,000 major coalition centers. Of that 25,000 major coalition centers, each of these party, how many representatives do they have to cover all these 25,000 coalition centers? So this is what it practically entails for them to win the election. Okay. The CPDM, MRC, will need 25,000 times 2 in each coalition center. I'm not talking now about the cell. The cell will be more than 25,000 because those units, like for example, you're in Douala, you have a police unit in this primary school, you have another polling unit in this. There is a difference between the polling unit and the polling stations. So if you calculate all that, it means that you need about 100,000 people to actually have. You need 100,000 procès verbal, and that's why when they were at the Constitutional Council, they could not present all the procès verbal that they were asked for. That okay, if you say you won the election, bring the procès verbal. Why? Because they did not have representative in all the polling stations. But this is what a coalition will do the magic, and this is why if one party decide that I don't have what it takes legally to contest this election, in order not to pursue another route, let me throw my weight behind this party. This is what we entail. Means that in area that you are not represented, that party will represent you and give you their own procès verbal. And if you look at the reality, Mr. Kum, in 1992 presidential election, Cameroonians were not that too much divided as they are now. But it was a coalition that did the magic, where the Union pour le Changement actually came together. Where this party was not there, this one represented. Now in the 2025, Cameroon is even more divided than it was before. The worst is what is happening in the north and southwest. That has further divided people into black leg, red leg, this leg, this leg. So I ask a question. If in 1992 it took a coalition to come that close, which Cameroon was not that divided, in 2025, with the political divide, the tribalism, the nepotism, will it be easy for a single party to win election? Each party will need 100,000 polling agents, uncompromised polling agents. Now, if you have 5 major parties, if they want to go solo, it means that they will need 500,000 polling agents. That is wastage of resources. Because in areas where you cannot prevail, you will have to put somebody there. So my question is, do they have over 3 billion to disburse 100,000 people who will be uncompromised to actually give the procès verbal, if not train the weight as Sonko did? We will only say that Cameroonians need change.
Okay, Cameroonians need change. Good evening, Mr. Kum and the panel. This is George watching from Bamenda. Please, Mr. Tah, you are very far from the realities in Cameroon elections. Please, Mr. Kum, the Cameroonians are giving Kamto, Osimuna, Libi, Ndamjoya, and others should sail in one boat. We are giving them up to March N. They should get one of them. Abongwa is writing from Bonaberi. Good evening, Mr. Kum and your panelists. I stand for Barrister Keremuna-led coalition. Abraham is watching from Yaoundé. This one says, Doctor said something about the opposition leader going around visiting churches. Hope and wish those leaders are hearing. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Good topic there. I don't have a problem with any party ruling, but the candidates of the party, okay? The issue of the candidates here comes. Good evening. This is Christian watching from Bamenda and Tarikon. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists on board. I'm Jodine watching from Boya. Now, almost everybody keeps telling you that we don't want to tell, to put the card on the table for people to understand and master our strategy. What strategy are you hiding? What strategy did Trump hide from the American people from day one? What strategy did Obi hide from Nigerians from day one? Sonko, we followed Sonko for years. What was he hiding? What is peculiar with
William Ruto? What strategy did he hide?
What is peculiar with Cameroonian politicians who will tell you that, okay, you are going to know towards the elections?
The thing is that already Cameroonians should know that when somebody says at this point in time, 7 months to elections, that they have a strategy and that they are hiding, they don't want to let it out of the back. Like somebody said here on the panel the other day, and that if they let the strategy out, maybe the ruling party or they will come back and then they control their divide and rule. Just immediately know that they have no strategy at all. They have no strategy at all. Because this is a time that the electorate, the Cameroonians are supposed to be preparing and bracing up to vote for a particular party. Because they have, read their ideologies, they have versed with what they have been doing, and they know exactly what they are going to do for them. And then you tell them that, okay, now you don't want to reveal that, as if you are the only opposition party. We have so many opposition parties. So when do you want to reveal it? You want to reveal it when others have already revealed, yes, even though some are just there and watching. But I think that when you hear people say this, then you just know that the opposition in Cameroon is lame. They really do not know exactly, because seen from what's happening in other countries, even in our next door Nigeria, this period is supposed to be a period that, we Cameroonians should enjoy politics, you know. We should enjoy politics from what the opposition leaders is supposed to sell to us. And that there is supposed to be, that competition of what they are going to do for the Cameroon as a whole. Not that somebody will be hiding his strategy at this particular point in time to release it maybe in the month of April or maybe in September. And then as if you have just kept the electoral day waiting for you, so that when you release whatever is in the back, they will just welcome in and then get to the polls and vote for you. This is actually, like we say in the village, you don't feed your fowl at the eve of the market. I think that it is wrong. And when you hear people say like that, means that those are the kind of people that I usually say, in the 1990, I said it at the opening of this program, that that SDF kind of mantra where they say Pobia must go was that kind of liberation ideology, theology, liberation theology where they say Pobia must go. But now there is that issue of Pobia must share, because this is what most of these opposition parties are doing. That issue of cooptation, they want Pobia must share. They form political parties because they actually want to enjoy from the regime, so that they will be caught backstage. That is what they are waiting for. And when they are caught and given what they are given, then at the end of it all, they are the electorals that actually are disappointed. Because at this point in time, what are these people doing? What is the strategy that a political party has for Northwest, that is a crisis zone? What is the strategy that a political party has for the Southwest? What is the strategy they have for the West region? What is the strategy for the Littoral, for the North, for the South, for the East? Because all of these regions do not have a particular issue or strategy that you are supposed to use. You are supposed to devise different strategies for these people. And know that when you devise these particular strategies, you let the people know. Let the people of the Northwest and Southwest know that we know what you are going through. And what we have been going through since 2016. And this is what we plan to do for you. Or this is what we could do for you at this point in time, even before election. And it's learn the people. Politics is about learning. Politics is about cajoling the people. Even though you lie, but at least let the people think that, let your lie be as sweet as maybe, I don't know, that the people should receive it and receive it in good faith and vote for you without thinking. That is what we mean. And What is the strategy that you use to go for civil society? The strategy that you use to go for self-help community or association? What is the strategy you use to go to the churches? Even getting closer to the religious men and women, because these people have been very, very fundamental as far as politics is concerned. If you look at what happened in South Africa, look at a person like Desmond Tutu, who was even the Secretary General of the Council of Churches. I mean, he played a great role in South Africa in politics. How many of these political leaders actually go around these men of God, who, of course, we know they are not supposed to do open politics? Well, they could do, but for their calling, you could get closer to them. Get closer to these people. There are even others who have developed the courage and they are talking on TV station. This is something we didn't see in the past. I've seen a lot of men of God going on TV stations and talking. I've heard a lot of men of God, even my own church, who are talking about this issue of election in 2025. I think that this is the right time for these political parties to seize these opportunities and go closer to them and synergize effort with them and be able to bring to the people. Let the people be able to touch, let the people be able to touch and see that exactly these are the leaders that we want. Not those kind of leaders that actually just want to be on that kind of a pedestal, and then they talk to the people down there and they think that, okay, sin is like an order. Since you are keeping your strategy to yourself, at a given moment, I will just give us an order and then my strategy will be respected by others. We have seen this thing happen since 1992. And we have seen the mistakes that were done since 1992. It is like Cameroon is bewitched.
I said they are seeing the old.
Yeah, it's like Cameroon is bewitched even, because at the moment when we see a party really coming up very forcefully, it's just when that party makes a mistake. Look at the mistake that SDF did in the parliamentary elections in 1992. Look at the mistake too that the MRC has done did in the parliamentary election in 2020. It is just as if when we have a party that is closer to our heart, this is just when our hearts are broken. I think that these parties, if you really have something to offer to your people, motivate them. Let that spirit galvanize that spirit of elections. That will let us enjoy the election. We see in other countries where people organize debate and they come together and talk and give their political manifesto and tell the people what they are going to do for them. We see that happen in other countries. What is happening in Cameroon with over 370 something parties? We see in the US whereby people organize debate. Next door Nigeria here, everybody was glued to the television watching the Nigerian TVs, watching how Peter Obi and all the others, the elections was enjoyable and everybody was interested in the election. How do you want, especially in a country like Cameroon, whereby a lot of people have been disillusioned? There has been hopelessness because people think that they are voting and nothing has been changing. People think that it takes a lot, in terms of election, to be able to dislodge the president, the current president, and then you, instead of letting the people with sweet, whatsoever they're supposed to do in the society, and then you tell the people that no, wait, the time is coming for you. I think this is the time for you to be able to tell the people that since you have been disillusioned, we want to give you hope, and this is what we have been telling the people throughout this registration period. That please, do not think that what happened in the past is going to happen again. And what are we doing? We're counting on the political leaders. We civil societies were not going for election, but we are counting on the political leaders, knowing that as they promised us that 2025 was going to be the real year. But now it has come 2025 and we are waiting for them after to hit the rock while it is hot. They are now telling us that their strategies are still in their backs and that they are going to unveil their strategies only when the desired time comes. I'm asking myself, when is that desired time? It's like we are waiting for Jesus for 2,000 years now. When is that desired time? You want to wait at the neck of the time to unveil. And then what tools are you going to use to communicate even to the hinterlands? You realize that there are some people who do not in Cameroon who are not with the social medias. Who don't use the social media because it does not reach them. There are some people who don't watch television. There are some people who are not with the media in any way. So you want to wait at that particular time. How will you reach these people who are not linked or who are not connected to social media or to television? Are you going to now to start sending letters through post, and the post in Cameroon is now epileptic? Where it is not more, so I think that this is a time that we have to catch up with things. And rather than the ping pong that we play with opposition parties, I think that is the time now for frontline political parties that we have, the MRC, the SDF, the PSLN, at least the front line that we had in 2018. come together and join with President Akeremuna, who has already expressed his desire. I think that in 2018, something happened. We are even talking about Sonko and Jomai in Senegal. In 2018, Akeremuna gave a pass to Maurice Kamto. That is the thing. These are some of the things that we are forgetting. Why is it that in 2024, if Maurice Kamto is not going, why wouldn't he also give Akeremuna a pass? What selfishness will that be? Yeah, because if it is not
declared towards
1 week towards the election
and campaign actively will come
to. That is the thing. I think that was good faith, and we are expecting that one good
to be reciprocated.
Exactly. One good turn deserves another, and that this time, if they are actually political leaders that are cooperating and that they can give passes, I think that this is the best time for you to pass and score. Don't wait to score the penalty, only the penalty.
And it will be easy for them to do a power sharing.
That is it.
All of their legal mind.
Because when you come at the end of the time without your strategy, and now there is a coalition, because power sharing is a thing that is planned. You need to draw up your memorandum of understanding even before that.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you do that at the nick of time, when are you going to draw your MOU? It is going to be very late. Remember that you may wait for the penalty and nobody will commit any foul at the 18 for you to give the penalty. Okay. You need to be able to give a pass or somebody to give a crossbar and score.
Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Wilson watching from Yaoundé. We are grateful to you people for this kind of educative talk. We are bracing up for the coalition and not one party. Good evening, I'm Tangwa Godwin from Bamenda. I want to tell the position that not okay. Any discouraging message, I'm not reading it, please. This one says, Barrister Dr. Ason Michael should look for a political party and run under rather than running as an independent candidate. He is young and the youth will vote for him, given his political agenda. Mr. Liu, only a coalition can bring change to Cameroon. Aside that, we will keep waiting for change in Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists on board. This is Bisong Joel watching from Boya. Good evening to you all. I wish to congratulate Cameroonians for their massive registration for this year's election, especially the youth. We have registered to push the regime out. Let all the parties come together as one voice to help us. Okay. Good evening to me, Mr. Liu, and the members of the panel. I'm Ngole from Mokolo. The only opposition party that I know has something peculiar is MRC. Professor Kamto has a last card and he masters the ruling party and has a hidden technique, and he will play at the time minute. He is the only politician that has proven capability. Okay. Yeah, everybody says okay. He has a MasterCard. Is that but the electoral code is very clear, written in simple French and English to understand.
Yeah, you know, many of them are hoping that he will use, or the MRC will use the third option, which is to get the signatures ready, because there are three possible options. One, you must have a councillor before you go in, or second, you can now get a party can allow you can get a ticket through another party that has a councillor, which means that you will not run under your party, but you will run under that party that has a councillor, because the electoral code does not state that you can go to a party and run under that party but maintain your name. The third option is that you go in as an independent candidate, which will need the signatures. So that process is laborious. I don't know how they intend to get that one, but if they are running for election, it is clear that they will use the second option, which is getting a party that has a council, like what Barrister Akeremuna is doing. Excuse me, what Barrister Akeremuna is doing, because you have the Univer who has actually endorsed him, and so he's sure that he will run under the Univer as a flag bearer, which can give him credit. Now, when we look at this reality, there's something Dr. Ndimachu said, which I want to add my voice to, which is what we are not getting. You know, for you to win an election, you must do negotiation. And this negotiation has different messages. For example, when you come to Douala, which is the economic hub of Douala, the people in Douala will not have the same message as the same people in the northwest region. The people in the northwest region will have a different message. In Douala, you push a strong economic message. And that strong economic message will also be on the issue of properties, because Douala has particular issues where people buy their land, and after 5-10 years, some person will come and destroy land, says that they have a land title. And this is a common thing in Douala. And so you would choose to have a message that will address the people based on their needs, And now, what we are experiencing, we are having these opposition parties having in terms of the manifesto that we know so far, is that they are giving a general message. They will tell you that, you know, we used to have iron ore here, we'll build an iron ore there, we'll generate this, you know, we'll solve this, but they're not telling you how you intend to do it. When you are going to the southwest region, the southwest region will have a different message. In fact, the northern and southwest region they have one particular message, and that particular message is to how to end the conflict, reconcile the people, release those who are arrested, make sure that there's an internal and external dialogue to resolve the crisis once and for all. Now, the question we should be asking ourselves is, how often or how do these our leaders communicate? And when you go to center region, the people of center region will have a different message that they need, and their message should be specific in such a way that when you are channeling their message, it should get them towards registering and voting. If you go to the east region, the message for the east region will be different from the message of the people in the center region, because you cannot use one size fit all that, oh, Cameroon, there are bad roads, Cameroon, we don't have roads, yes, there's inadequate electricity, yes, hospital, yes, this light, yes, you also high unemployment, yes, but you should also know that we may have these global problems, but people have priority areas. The priority area of somebody may not be electricity. This is an anecdote. Let me give this anecdote, and so that people know that sometimes you may think that you are providing a solution which is not actually a solution you are providing. In the north region, there was an NGO that went to the north region and saw that women in the north region were suffering because they were going to carry water from a long distant place to go and fetch water to come and put in their houses. So this NGO thought that the best way they can do is to dig a borehole that will permit these women not to go the long distance to fetch water to come to their homes. This was what happened. When these boreholes were conducted, the women protested. Instead, the NGO was shocked that why are they protesting against the borehole? The idea was that the women said the reason why they prefer to go and carry water from this long distance is that that's the only time they leave their house, because their husbands always ask them to stay at home. The only time they leave their house and they move that long so they can discuss with their fellow women and move back. Now that the boreholes have been dug, they will not have that time to actually go and have this social time. Now you see, the NGO was creating a solution to prevent people from getting far to get water, but instead the NGO was creating problem because these people prefer to go and fetch water far from the area, because it will give them time to burn and time to have leisure time which they don't have in their houses. That is the same situation we are facing in Cameroon. All these parties will tell you they have a strategy. They will give the strategy. When the time comes, they will give the strategy. But this is not what Cameroonians are actually in need. What Cameroonians are in need are pragmatic solutions, time consciousness. Mr. Kum, we have, like Dr. Ndimachu said, we have 8 million who have registered. Let me assure you, not up to 7 million will go and vote with this current situation. Registering to vote is not voting. So opposition should not sit by their lorry saying that, oh, we have increased the voter registration, and there are people who register because they think that there could be coalition. That will be the only condition for them to go and cast their ballot. And we could have that number to 12 or 30 million, because there are some people who are also hanging on the fence saying that I will only go and register if I see a coalition. And now you add all this and drop, you will see that the people are saying one coalition, the parties are saying we can go solo and win, but the people are saying one coalition. They will tell you no coalition. And somebody told me that we don't want to form a coalition because these parties, you don't know which one is a CPCM party, you don't know which one you can form a coalition, and they're going to say you, which means they don't trust themselves. How can you be an opposition that you don't trust your fellow opposition party? Then it means something must be wrong somewhere. And I heard somebody told me that I am out of touch with Cameroon reality. There is nothing has been out of touch with Cameroon reality. The realities are simple. Many Cameroonians have been used to a kind of campaign strategy that party or top leaders don't go and meet the mass. The only person that did that and he was consistent was Chairman Ndimachu of blessed memory. Chairman Ndimachu used the model, and that is model worked. And since he used that model, no other party have been using that model. Joshua Nambaga also tried to use that, but I think that it was short because he went just on some major when you visit Boya, you don't just end in Boya town or Boya town hall. What you do is you should have a 1 week program to be in Boya. That 1 week program, you are visiting all the major towns and villages in that area. Just visiting, just strolling. Ayapor of the Blessed Memory Justice Ayapor did that. I got to know Justice Ayapor in Munya in my quarter when before election he came and strolled with his entourage. And he waved at people. Then he started saying, I will run for election, I will run for election. That was the first time I got to encounter him physically. And so what we are saying is that opposition parties should know, if you cannot be able to register your party as a candidate, do yourself a favor, form a coalition, because forming a coalition takes a long time. Like Dr. Michael was talking about it, there's what we call memorandum of understanding. And this memorandum of understanding are usually drafted such that your party doesn't lose its ideology in the process of the coalition. And so that your party doesn't also get merged in the process of a coalition and is unable to bounce back after the coalition time. And this memorandum of understanding is also strategic to know who takes where, who controls what, who do what and what. And they are only waiting. We are February. This is the 2nd of February. Before you want to open your eyes, we are on the 28th of February. And nothing will change if this opposition party don't form a coalition. And I will repeat again, we have 25,000 police stations. I'll not count the polling units and the various attaché centers that you go and cast your ballot. If you don't form this coalition, and now the local masses intend to see these persons. For example, there are funeral services that opposition parties in other countries, like let me use the case of Kenya. Do you know that Mr. Kum in 2020, from 2019 to 2021, the opposition candidate who is the president now, because the president now fell out with the ruling party. He was in the ruling party. He was the vice president, but he fell out with the president, and the president backed the main opposition party, so he automatically became an opposition party. He visited all major funerals. You will see William Ruto attend a funeral that he was not invited. He will go and come in, and that strategy worked. He will visit market. He will just go to market and just be visiting, talking to mothers in the market, talking to them. Go and visit Okada people, just talk to them, just visit. Not like he's going to campaign. In Cameroon, they will tell you that no, the government will not accept, the government will not do this, the government will not do that. You can visit a choir. Choir practices. Ask yourself, they should give you calendar of all the choir practice in Douala. Take a courtesy visit to these choirs. Visit them on Saturdays in their parishes or in their churches. Greet them. You can provide drums. What happens if you provide a church drum with a church not take? That is also another form of campaign. That is what we call in communication sublime. But most of our candidates are doing the same thing that President Pobia is doing. And I say this and I will repeat. If they go by what they want the ruling party is doing, they will not be able to achieve this. We're in a new age. Mr. Okay. Before you take the mic, they should make themselves available for media to talk to them on a regular basis. They will tell you that we are waiting, there's no time. When is the time?
Okay, when is the time? Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Onga Rogan watching from Boya. Hello, good evening. Called Mickey Ufret from Boom Subdivision. Sako Mafani is watching us from Tico. Good evening to all of you watching us from Tico, the gateway city to the southwest region of Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Leo. President Trump started preparing and disclosing his plans of action immediately after he was defeated by President Biden. So any opposition leader in Cameroon who cannot disclose its plan of action now should be considered as fake. Luis is writing from Boya. I'm confused. Maybe I don't know what is meant by opposition. The opposition parties are there to oppose the opposition parties or the ruling party. That is why most our militants are confused. Let those leaders who call themselves opposition to oppose the opposition should forget about their militants so that they can join other party of their choice. Festus is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, sir. This is Evangelist Rebecca Abosangaya in Douala. Please, we want this program again next week. Beck, we are actually lost. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Let's face the truth. If all the main opposition parties are sincere, let them form a coalition with one candidate. Winka Edwin is watching from Fumbat. If everyone was like me, nobody will vote any political party until I see a serious party. For now, none of them is showing seriousness. For now, all of them are playing. They know what to do to displace this ruling party. Good evening, sir, and to you all in the studio. As far as election is concerned in Cameroon, what the opposition needs to note is that the CPDM has always been having a fair win due to their influence all over the 10 regions, and only way out is for them to come to alliance, pick a party head and contest against the CPDM. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Mr. Liu, don't be surprised that the number of increased registered voters can decide not to vote because of the unfair nature of the candidates. Okay. I'm Panalu writing from Bafu Sam. Good evening, my Media Prime TV. I'm very sorry for Cameroonians because they isn't serious. We need opposition to come together if they want to unseat the ruling party. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to your panelists. Opposition parties in Cameroon are just created for their own greediness. They are absolutely in business for their families. No strong vision, no effective campaign strategy, no grassroots mobilization, no effective communication skills, and coalition is a big no to them. These guys would sell this country if given the chance to rule. Scammers. We have not gotten the candidates we need. Let the incumbent be there for now. Abui Randall, watching from Vomeka. Now, when you look at what is happening, almost everybody is saying coalition, coalition, coalition. Why is it difficult for, because they say, okay, the government is headstrong, the government does not want to listen to the population. This is what the people, I'm not choosing these messages. This is what the people are saying to the opposition party leaders. But they are telling you, no, we know more than you guys.
Yeah, it is a pity.
These are the messages.
Of course, it is a pity. I don't know. I told you that during this program that I fear that Cameroon opposition is bewitched, because I do not understand why people know what the people want, why opposition parties know what the people want, and they do not want to do what the people want in order to get their votes. Yeah, I don't seem to understand. But every day we keep on seeing new political parties coming up, sprouting up, coming up every day on a daily basis. We hear this political party has been formed, this one has been formed, and we thought that there is going to be a difference. Actually, where we think that there is an increase, black consciousness. When it all started during the 19th century, with the issues of Pan-Africanism, nationalism, and all of those things, up to the point where African countries started having independence, and with the increased interest in politics in Africa, we thought that things will never be the same again. Because when you look at during the period of the 1960s, just after independence of most African countries, there were a lot of coup d'etats because people people were excited about politics. People wanted to change now. People wanted to have something different from what they had in the colonial era. And then we thought that with the passing time, up to now that we are in the year 2025, we thought that even the issue of Pan-Africanism that we have been singing about, it is going to be increased. Feminism that is already now, a lot of women are supposed to get into politics. The issue of negritude and all of those things that encompass all of these issues that actually bring up the African youth and make the African youth see the truth and see light from darkness. Where we even started with it, we started with the Arab Spring. And then we said this is a wind of change in Africa, and that politics is going to take quite a different form, because many youths are going to get more interested in politics, seeing what is happening on the Arab world, seeing what is happening in other countries, see what is happening in Europe. But we find youths in Africa and in Cameroon in particular who talk more than they do, because most of the formation of these political parties are being actually orchestrated by the desire and the zeal of the youth. And you say you want to transform, drive across the zeal, the aspiration of the youth, and then you form a political party, and then that political party remains in a suitcase. And then you're asking yourself, people are crying from Noni up to Kum, up to Womb, up to Benakumba and all of those places, down there to the coast and all of those, and people are crying that this is what we want. Nobody seems to listen to the cry of the people, and I'm asking myself why. They want to bring change, and people are only interested in sitting in their offices and making speeches on social media. On the 31st of December, you got speeches from a chunk of them, who made speeches. And that was already their manifestos. And that is already what they have given to the society. Since December up to now, you have not seen or heard them.
Yes.
Now, and up to now, election is coming. And people are like, we have borne so much for so long a time like Rosa Parks. Now things have to change. Things have to change. Our leaders, you have promised us that this is what you are going to do in 2025. You have led us to vote. You have led us to register. Now we have registered. And we are waiting for you to tell us that this is what... Of course, the political opposition is supposed to listen to the people. Because you are not the one to dictate to them. They know what is they also know what is right. They have told you to unseat the government in Yaoundé. They need a coalition. Why is it so difficult? Why are you so inflexible to form that coalition? Why is there this ego that you want to be called a president? Everybody wants to get anywhere, they call him a president of a political party. Is it for the sake of it, or is it for the sake of change? That is why I said here that many political parties do not want to take power. They are not meant to take power. They are meant for their own personal aggrandizement. And that is what happened. It is what they call the politics of the stomach. Why should people not take this call? I remember there is a manifesto, there is a slogan that the ruling party used. That was in 2018, the People's Call. When was that used? The People's Call. I think. And you see, they used that. And what happened? We have the impression that the militants of the CPDM actually did that call, because what happened? They still won. So now the opposition, they take their own people's call now. The people are actually calling on you to do actually what they wish you to do, and that if you promise that you are going to do this, they are going to vote for you. So why why are you making it glaring that you took or you formed political parties for selfish reasons? This is what is happening, and it is clear, because political parties is about militants. And I understand that if you do not have militants, who do you listen to, or who do you go to? And many of these political parties will realize that they do not even have offices. But those we are talking here about those who are structured, those who have something that we can hold on, because you will not be talking about a political party who has never had a 0.111% in an election. But we are at least talking about those who we think that could salvage the people from this miserable life, salvage the people who can identify with the people, with the suffering masses of Cameroon, because Cameroon is suffering. And we think that if the masses, they say that political party, SDF, this is what we want you to do, can you come down from your Trojan horse? Can you just come down from that level where you are, and then you see that for the sake of the people, that you are a sacrificial, and that's why you accepted to be a political leader. You didn't accept to be a political leader because you wanted to be. When Trump was living in 2020, that was which year that Trump left? 2020. When he left, I remember the statement that he made that day. I will be back.
Yes. So I will be.
I will be back. This is what Trump said in 2020. On the very day of the day, he said I will be back.
And he was consistent.
And you were consistent. Meaning that what Trump planned to take power again 5 years ago.
Yes.
When he left power.
Yes, 5 years ago.
Yes, because he started preparing from there when he said I will be back. But many of our political parties,
January 6, 2020.
2020, and now many of our political parties, when the elections were last organized in Cameroon 2018 presidential election, when the result that they had, many of them just went to their threat and lied there and they said, okay, this is what we had. Because they do not have any accountability to give the people. They think that when the political party you don't have any accountability. Remember that those who voted you, like the 500 that voted Kamto, Kamto is accountable to the 500 people that voted him during that presidential election, and he has to explain to them. He has to live up to the goals and aspirations of the people.
533,884 votes.
That is right. These people voted you because they trusted you. Because one vote in election counts. If you listen to the people, and that is why I've always decried, even when we come to a major point with these political party leaders, militants, one of the things that they do is that they are so bitter. I don't understand why. Because when you correct them, when you give them what they're supposed to be done, they are so bitter, and they fear that what they have and what they have conceived is is only what is going to be manifested.
They will accuse you of not knowing what is happening.
Exactly, they accuse you of not following up what is happening. They accuse you of not being, or of even being against them and aligning with the other party. Because you have told them what to be done, they think that you are saying because you are on the other party. I think that this is not what we should do in Cameroon. Let us get people interested. Let me tell you that even if any political opposition is supposed to win in 2032, this is supposed to start. If you want to lose in 2025, I am begging, lose honorably. Lose honorably.
Like in 1992?
Like in 1992. Nijon Fudu, we are quoting him today because he lost honorably, even though I don't want to go into intricacies, but we know that he lost honorably. It was neck to neck with the President Poya in 1992. And that is where his glory started. And that is where he has died with that glory.
And that was through coalition.
I mean, he walked. Nijon Fudu walked. You don't know the door of my house, my village in Kononi. I mean, that was a man of the people. Somebody has written a book about man of the Chino Achebe. Man of the people. I think that a politician is supposed to be a man of the people. You are not supposed to be an elitist. You are not supposed to be somebody, of the office. You are supposed to be somebody of the grassroots, somebody of the ground. And that people have to identify you, even by your voice, without seeing you. And that if you speak on the radio, people should know that this is Kanto speaking, this is Joshua Osei speaking, this is Cabral Libby speaking. They don't need to see you before they know who you are, because you are a man of the people. People are supposed to listen to you. You are like a shepherd, that when you cry out, or when you signal, the sheep is supposed to know your signal. It's just like the SDM mantra. Power to the people and equal opportunity. This is what actually galvanizes people. Because at that particular moment, people were hungry for power. People were hungry for opportunities. Now the hunger is much more than what we had in 1992. What is happening? Let us be able to feed people. Let us be able to give the water that people are thirsty to drink. And what are we doing? We are playing with people's emotions. We are playing with people's lives. We are playing with people's desires. And in 2025, we the civil societies, we have said we are going to continue to work and do our own possible best and try to broker a deal between among these political parties. Those who don't want to take it, let them not take it. We know that at the end of the election in 2025, we are going to give a report to Cameroonians and say this is the reason why a coalition has never taken place in Cameroon, because this particular opposition leader shatters the coalition. He is there for his personal gains. This is what this political leader stands for. He is not out to take power in Cameroon. This is what we are supposed to do. At the point where we think that the political parties are so many, we only get them multiplying and multiplying and multiplying, and nobody is there, is able to say, follow me. Follow me, let us go. This is where we are going. Nobody is able to say. People are speaking water and hot cookie in their mouth. They don't want to say to people exactly where we are going to. Cameroon is a direction. The direction of Cameroon this time around, 2025 October, is a 2D. In 2026, we are talking about councils and parliamentary elections. And everybody is galvanizing towards it, because we are getting much more interested in the population of Cameroon now is the youth. I know the youth surmounts every other age group in Cameroon. And now the youth are supposed to stay back in Cameroon and build this country. We are tired of the youth dying in the desert. We are tired of the youth, sleeping in embassies and waiting for visas. We are tired of the youth running away and committing suicide. Because I was on a bike, I bought a bike today, and a bike man looked around. Just from maybe in Dokoti to Rompong, we saw about 7 mad people, and the bike man shook his head and told me, je ne sais pas ce qui se passe maintenant au Cameroon. Because youth are now indulging in unholy activities, and then the things are trapping them. This is what is happening. People are disillusioned. They do not know the headway. They don't know where they are going to. Now, we have to be able to shape our future. And anybody who wants to play with the future of youth in Cameroon, we abandon the people, and then we take on responsibility and we get going. And that's what the civil society is saying. That we should get to the ballot boxes and change and choose our leaders. And then the leaders themselves, the opposition leaders, should be responsible. And let them not play with the lives, the aspirations, with the emotions, with the people of Cameroon. Life is very expensive.
Life is very expensive. I wanted to take some messages just coming.
Yeah, I want to queue on what Dr. Ndimachu said there, and we concern the issue of coalition. Why it is so important is because we had opposition parties complaining about the what is talked about the electoral code, that the electoral code has problems, and now the only thing that can salvage this situation is massive voting. When the vote is massive, the people know that we cannot tamper with this because this is the number of population that we are waiting to face if things go wrong. And that happened in Senegal. It is only that massive voting that actually put pressure on those counting the election to know that the time is no longer on our side. And because, look at 2018, 3.3 million, and the ruling party took 2 point something. Let me go by that count. If just 3 million people voted in Cameroon, divide that population by the 10 regions. Tell me that even all that 2 million, let's just say that 2 million voted for an opposition candidate, Dr. Ndimachu. If you like,
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. On ne le fait pas, Orange nous met bien. Orange est sous le fer, cette fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie, ne fais pas sortir le lit. Peut-être ces gens que t'envies en plus. On seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour le souffle de vie.
the 3 million can never stay behind. And those people counting the vote cannot face that 3 million. That is what gives the legitimacy. In a system where electoral code is unfair, the people, popular votes and voices mount pressure. And that was what happened in the Constitutional Council in Senegal. When the Constitutional Council saw that over 9 million people have registered to vote the opposition, and they looked at the total size, market size, that we cannot accept a mandate stay. We cannot accept for it to alternate or to change. And when they saw the result, they could not change to favor South party, outgoing party. They could not favor a government-appointed candidate because the population was waiting. No matter how much money you have, you will not want chaos in your country because you cannot enjoy the money. And that is what gives legitimacy. That's why people are calling for a coalition, because they know without coalition.
Let's listen to what the people are saying. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Kudos to you and your panelists for the enticing program. I'm watching from Elak Oku. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and everyone in the studio. I strongly believe that opposition leaders in Cameroon fail to grasp what it truly takes to win an election. Simply preaching their vision without securing the support of the masses is not enough. The electorate hold voter cards, but without a united front, their impact remains weak. Without a strong coalition, the dream of unseating the CPDM party remains an illusion. Unity is the only path to real change. Prince Fende is writing from Berlin, Germany. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This program is interesting. If the opposition leaders are not listening to the people's call about forming a coalition, I'm afraid that if by mistake they ascend to power, they will not listen to the people. Nyam David is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. You are doing your best. What we call political parties don't have Cameroon at heart, Cameroonians at heart. And Kenga Fak Valentine is writing from Libya Lem. Mr. Leo, I'm Stephen from Boya. Cameroonians should cease to listen to any opposition party if they fail to form a coalition by March next month. Cameroonians should have a unified front. It's time Cameroonians forget about the ruling party for now and focus on these greedy opposition leaders. Dear Mr. Leo, all political parties in Cameroon function as personal enterprises that have to be managed by their creators and their family members. They use them to generate income for themselves. They are not there to defend the interests of the common man. Jacob from Bamenda. Good evening. Once more, Mr. Liu, I think from the comments, the opposition leaders should know what the population wants. All of them want to stand alone. What if all of them work hard as they are promising? The votes will still be scattered. That will not make any sense. Coalition or none of them will succeed. At the end of all of us will be crying, okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu. Pastor Tebit watching from Bamenda. Opposition leaders should go in for coalition if they are ready to make a change in Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I, for one, I don't really buy the idea that parties must coalesce before ousting the CPDM. In 2018, Paul Biya had 71%, meaning, stop calling please, meaning all other parties had less than 30%. People should fight for a consensual electoral code. Sonko did not use coalition. There is only one opposition party, the CRM. Okay. Things that, yep. This one said it was difficult for opposition in Nigeria, but Jagaban and others did a magic. Okay. Panelists is writing from Bafusam. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. Don't give up. You are the people making this nation look like a nation. Let the opposition learn from Nigeria how Buhari came to power. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. I will say it again, sir. If the political parties are not ready for a coalition, we are not going to vote. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the crew on board. The leaders of the parties fighting the sitting the president is power, not leadership. That is why they can't unseat Mr. President. They have no plans for Cameroonians. If they do, let them go to the village. Thanks. Okay. Gilbert is writing from Susa. Yes. So the call keeps coming. But what I want to say is that we are looking towards an election, but there are two difficult regions to go do campaigns and actually get people. We talk about the Northwest and Southwest region. Have you seen a party that has an enticing plan and message, and how they're going to maneuver their way through the Northwest and Southwest regions?
Yeah, the thing is, the Northern and Southwest region will definitely become what we call a swing state in this election. And if you don't have something credible to offer to them, probably you may not be able to get their vote. Because remember that it is a message that you put that galvanize people to brave the odds. And yes, there's a conflict in the Northern and Southwest region, but there are some green zones. Start with those green zones and send a powerful message that will resonate to the person in the bush. And like I was saying, that the message that you have for Northwest and Southwest will be different from the message that you have from the people in Littoral. The message that you have from the people in Littoral will also be different from the message that you have from the people in East region. And the message from the people in Northwest and Southwest is simple: how to end the war, how to get our brothers and sisters who are displaced back to town, how to get those who are arrested, how to get those who are out of the country to have legitimacy to come back, because home is home. How to get the key, those are four key then above all, how to build it, how to rebuild. Now, how to get, let me tell you this, there are some people who are sponsoring this war, or who could be sponsoring the war in the North and Southwest from abroad, just because they know that they cannot come back to Cameroon, and they are looking for a way that dialogue will make them to have amnesty to come back to Cameroon. So if you start channeling a 4 key or a 5 key point agenda, how you will do to reconcile those abroad who have legitimacy to come back to Cameroon unarrested, how you do to get those of our brothers and sisters who are in Kundengi or the different detention facilities to actually be released, how you will get to end the war, and how you get to take back the arms from the hands of the people who are in the bushes, and how you get to build the region. If you have that message, that message is not what you come to the Torah and preach. Because the man in the Torah has his own problem. Land issue. In Douala is a major thing. How to preserve their land and the economic opportunities. So we have not seen, from the parties that we are seeing in the Northwest, I'm sure the only person that tried to do that is Honorable Joshua Nambangi Osi, who tried to do that, to actually visit some of these areas. See how
the market was burnt down.
To see how, because he was in Bamenda when the market actually was burnt down. But the challenge is that he has not gone back for follow-up, because sometimes when you go, you have to do a follow-up.
He was not there when he went.
Yeah, he went after the market has been burnt down. He went when the disaster just happened. They have not been there for follow-up to say, okay, 6 months after, how are the people coping? 6 months after the help that government promised you, I say, come. This is an opportunity. Has it come? That is why I'm here, to see whether the help has come, to evaluate the situation myself. And I'll tell you, it will give a big credence to, because sometimes it's not just to visit, it's to follow up and capitalize on some of the errors of these people. And we are also expecting that Honorable Namage was also in the Southwest region, to see how things are done. Now, in this kind of way, he has a stronghold, whether we like it or not. He has a stronghold. The SDF has a stronghold in the north and southwest region. The challenge is how to end the smoking guns. And I'm telling you that there are people in the north and southwest that will be ready this time to brave the odds to go and cast their ballot, because they understood that the 2020 election, municipal election, failure to cast their ballot gave an easy way to some political parties who actually benefited. And so therefore, the parties that are campaigning should come up with a good message. As I've explained, the good message is how to end the war, how to get those who are in Kundengi. Because there are mami that who are in the bushes, and there are mothers who are also in the town, in some villages, whose greatest desire is to have their children released from the Kundengi. Now, if you get them to know that this is the plan you have for them, you win their heart. There are others whose children are internally displaced, who are displaced, who cannot come back because of the ravaging war. You get them their vote. And there are some of us who like going to the village. But because we cannot go back to the village, our cultural festivals can no longer be celebrated in the village, because December was the time when we go to the village and enjoy our village. Now that we can see, if you can tell us what you do, some of us will vote for you. There are these categories of people. And there are these categories of people who also who just want that they want to do business. They are businessmen. And if you provide them with a concrete plan how you intend to down the gun in the north and south, they will fund your campaign. And another issue that is, like I said, is power is bargained. They should start with this green zone. And Joshua Osi of SDF is in the right track. And also, if we keep aside Joshua Osi, I'll probably be looking at another party that I will be looking at Barrister Keremuna, because Barrister Keremuna coalition, which is having to do with the PAP. If the PAP also can actually go down, but like I said, if we can look at to have this election to be won, you must have 4 key opposition parties or 3 coming together. And one of your panelists said to him, he does not think that coalition will do the magic because he is looking at the result of 2018. I would tell him that there are a lot of people who did not go to vote in that 2018 because they did not see a coalition. There are a lot of people who probably registered and did not register in 2018 because they did not see a coalition. Now, the force of coalition will be like a motivational factor for many people who galvanize the base. Like you have been reading there. In all the messages, apart from some few, most are talking about coalition. And there are some who say they will not go and vote if they don't see coalition. They have registered. So coalition is a pull and a push factor for people to register. So you cannot use the 2018 electoral result as the total analysis that you can do for a coalition. Because the unit of analysis that you do is, Dr. Michael is a senior researcher. There are unit of analysis where there are people who probably would have voted if there was a coalition that did not vote in 2018. That is the kind of research we are expecting. We should expect research, pulling. That this is what popular opinion holds. This research was conducted. This number of people who did not vote in 2018 because this was a challenge. Also, the civil society of Dr. Michael Ndimachu, they should now start giving us this real data, because we need data to say that, okay, because 2018 there was no coalition, these are the people that will not vote. In 2025, these are the number of statistics of people who will not vote if there is no coalition. So if these people see the data, I'm sure they will react. But because they have not been able to see the data, quantify data, because now we are giving them data but not quantified in terms of percentages and averages, I'm sure that they themselves don't even take researchers to do them research. Because every election in America, those parties will have researchers that will go down to the field to actually do an internal polling to tell you that, Mr. Trump, this is a result. This is, if elections are conducted now, this is what. Then come on, we don't have. And our opposition parties say they want to win the election. Let's see if they don't go through a coalition.
Okay. Dr. Ndimachu, I will insist on looking at the plans for the Northwest and Southwest region. But overwhelmingly, people say they would rather not waste their votes if you guys are refusing to come together, so that at least you talk about failing honorably. Let us see that we fought and did not waste our energy fighting.
Yeah, you know, there is what we call in political parlance the stronghold of the political party. One of the things that we advise for a coalition, first of all, is to benefit from what comes with having strongholds in the region. We understand very well that North and South are truly resting areas. But we too still understand that times are changing. One hold in 2025 will be very different from what was in 2018. Why? Because in 2018, there was still this real fear that the people had in coming out to vote. Let me tell you that this time around, if the people have a credible candidate, they will defy the odds and come out and vote. This is a fact, and this is from some kind of survey that we have carried out, that the people are ready because they are tired of the suffering they are going through, and they think that a new government will bring a solution to what they want. And one of the aspirations of people know Southwest is having an Anglophone as a leader, and that if an Anglophone comes up, it is surely going to at least solve 50% of the problem that they have, and therefore they are ready to sacrifice and come out and vote in October 2025. This is a fact, and that is why we are insisting on the issue of a coalition, knowing that already Joshua Osi with his SDF, Northwest and Southwest are his strongholds. We know that even with the problems that we had, 2020 they still had their parliamentarian senators from there. The few they have, they come from there, and that is his stronghold. And already having Northwest and Southwest as a stronghold, if he has to go into coalition with UDC, when the noon is a stronghold of UDC, that is already something. Maurice Kamto has Baham or the West, let's just say the West,
part of the Littoral,
part of Littoral as a stronghold. And that if there's a coalition, already we are assured of the West region and part of the Littoral of Douala.
Protecting the vote in that area.
That is sure. And that Kabari is with the Senegal. And that if Kabari comes up, you already know that the Senegal Maritime and all the surroundings are already behind the PSRN. And that is already good gain and guarded. And that you come to the Littoral, you have maybe even the UPC also, it has a strong hold in the Littoral, and that they can be able to grab that and then they get going. And you also go to the North. I don't know whether the Salvation Party or Isha Tiruma will ever accept.
Maybe if they don't accept,
this is very strong.
You have Northwest, Southwest, West, Littoral.
Exactly. This race includes, it is very strong. Even the North wants to
you can just get some few
from the North. And the North has always been, in the past, we look at the North, when it comes to they always come for XDF as a second choice.
The center is split there. The center region, you can split
that
the
is
vote.
it. So this is what we are calling for, a coalition, because we know that if there's a coalition with this stronghold that some of these political parties they have, they can be able to come together, and let me tell you, the CPDM will be no match for this coalition. This is what we are asking. Some people are asking us why we are insisting on coalition. Well, we are insisting on coalition because we know that in the real sense of the word, the SDA will not win in the
Now we are talking about how prepared candidates are. It should not be seen as doing a campaign for opposition against the CPDM.
It's against the CPDM. They shouldn't be so. We already know that. We know the strength of the CPDM. Okay. And you can only be flexing Moses with someone who has a strength. Of course, we know that the CPDM has that strength in this country, and that they have representation in all the 25. They always have represented all the 25 police stations, and that even that's a strong point, because they always have, observers in all over the country. And they are all over the country. In fact, CPDM is like a church, the Catholic church that is all over Cameroon. That is clear. In every village, you have CPDM. This is what is happening. And, of course, it wasn't like that. But that is why we are encouraging these other parties that in some time in future, this is how you are going to be. If you take power, certainly that's how you're going to be. And we're not giving the CPDM the glory for its strength. It is because it is a ruling party, and with a ruling party, they benefit from some, administrative largesse for them to be able to be represented the way they are. And we are telling the opposition party that, during elections, all the tithes are against you, because, the Jews, they have budget, SGOs, they have budget. I mean, all the administration who matter with the election, they have budget. And let me tell you, they will never, ever defend your interests against the interests of the ruling party. And therefore, this is some of the things we encourage the opposition party and give them the ideas and give them the strategies that they can use. Because come rain, come shine, one day the opposition will take power in this country. It is not as if we will keep on having only the CPDM. And they will only take power, and the sooner they will take power will depend on how they listen to the advice that we give them. We were talking about the Northwest and Southwest region. We are saying that, if we accept that the CPDM wins in the Northwest and Southwest, it means that people vote. It means that CPDM militants, they vote. I don't want to go into what people say in the quarter anyway, but let us accept that officially it's because the militants, they come out and vote. And you will not think that there is that protection, special protection for the militant of the CPDM, because people know specially who are the militant of the CPDM in those individual villages, and that the kind of the wind, the harmattan that blows the opposition off from voting could also be the same harmattan you blew the CPDM militant from voting. And therefore, if the opposition comes together and actually holds their hand and say that in this polling station, in this particular village, we are going to come out and vote as other militants of the CPDM are coming out and vote. I mean, people are afraid. Do CPDM militants have bulletproofs? They do not have bulletproofs. And therefore, it is just a decision of the people. There's what we call the people power. When the people decide, there is nothing that can go against them. And that is why we are asking that the people are thirsty. Let them not risk their lives. And then at the end of it all, their lives, their aspirations are dashed to the wall, because they can decide today they are going to vote, not knowing that there is some kind of agreement, and somebody comes tomorrow and says that he's among the G20. And this is where the problem is going to come from. So the people need to be very sure that as we are sacrificing ourselves, as we are determined to get the people power, work, then those that we are going to support to also be in support of us. And that it should be something like a block pack. And that when you go against this block pack, and then you get the immediate effect of what is happening. And therefore, the Northwest and Southwest are not out of this country. They are part of this country. And therefore, elections will be organized in Northwest and Southwest. And of course, voting is going on in Northwest and Southwest. When I saw the Lecams, this thing that they brought out, I saw the Northwest and Southwest, there are people who are voting. And therefore, we cannot say that all those people are voting or people are registering as CPDM militants. There are also opposition who are amongst them. And we think that a change can come. There's a party, the SDF, who is the heart, who is, the people adore. It's a religion for the people. And they will also vote for that party.
Okay. The CPDM, like I said when we started the program, that the CPDM is the only party that is already ready. How is it ready? Is because they have what we call the cell. Those some parties have the cell, but they enjoy the fact that I use a euphemism, and I asked a euphemistic question to some of my students the other time, and I said, if you look at the 2 million that voted plus that voted the CPDM, I told them, let's do a small calculation. If in a euphemistic way, if you are a governor of a region, who will you and your family vote for? They said CPDM. Then I asked them, if you are a senior divisional officer, who will you and your family vote for? I'm just saying vote for. Euphemistically, they said the ruling party. Then I said, if you are a minister, who will you and your family vote for? Because you are supposed to defend the person that appoints you, your boss, your immediate boss, to make sure that you enjoy the benefit. Now I told them, calculate all these units and these offices. You cannot see how legitimate the votes were casted. And now, if you want to see the reality is that ex-ministers who are falling away from the ministry, the government, will want to campaign harder to tell the party that and the president that I still should be favored because I have delivered my vote. And this is it. Any area that the CPDM did not have 100%, they always have a problem administratively now. Because you say you did not deliver yourself, you did not deliver. So now, in terms of preparedness, the CPDM is present everywhere because former ministers or former influential persons who are there, they have there. When the time comes, like you saw the chiefs who actually gave their full endorsement to the Council of Traditional Rulers. Among them, there was a minister who is a chief. I will not call the name, but there was a minister who was a chief. At that moment, how do you separate the chieftaincy from the ministerial position? So he wore his cap of a chief, and he's part of the Council of Traditional Rulers who endorsed the president. Now, that if you start seeing that situation, most of these people who campaign effectively for the president, that's why the president at one point in time don't need to go around campaigning. And you see their number is ready. They are constantly ready to vote. That's why you see you have few number of people who vote, because majority of people who vote are expecting a coalition that is not coming. And we hope, and we just hope, like Dr. Mikey has given a good analysis there, that the coalition gives you strength where you are weak. It's like a SWOT analysis. Where you are weak, they will defend it for you. Where you are strong, you defend it yourself, such that when you go to the Constitutional Council, you can present all the procès verbal. You can, because some people were asked procès verbal for all the polling stations, they could not give. They said, okay, give us the 32 collation procès verbal at least. Give us the 32 you don't have all. Then how do you say you won the election? So to me, that coalition, whether they like it or not, is a magic.
Okay, a coalition is a magic. So many messages, but we have to end at this juncture. Thank you for coming, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, permitting me greet two people. The phone of Kochi Nkol and the phone of Mbin Nkol. They are our chiefs. And I'm greeting Wanka Solomon too and the family. Thank you so much for the wonderful program this evening.
Thank you, Tah, for coming.
Thank you, and a special happy birthday to Madame Joan, who is celebrating her birthday. Madame Joan, the wife of Mr. Nyam Robert. Many more years, and God should continue to guide and protect you as you celebrate your birthday this 4th of February 2025.
Thank you, Eli and Desmond, for production, and to all of you for watching. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.